shocking news once again rocks the K-pop world. Jin finally speaks out and reveals a bitter truth about Suga, as well as his solo career journey that is not widely known to the public. Jin's statement immediately silenced armies around the world, with many even shedding tears. What exactly happened behind the glittering stage of BTS that led to this surprising statement? Is this just an honest reflection from a friend, or a sign of the immense pressure Suga is experiencing in his individual career path? This is the question now echoing in the fan community. When Jin speaks, the public knows that there is something very serious behind his words. In a rare opportunity, he conveyed that Suga's struggle as a solo artist has never been smooth. Many people only see the end result, Jin said, but they don't know what he actually had to sacrifice. That short sentence was enough to make millions of armies feel the weight of the burden Suga carries. Behind the success of his worldwide album, there is a long story of pressure, injustice, and sacrifices that have not been exposed by the media. Suga, known by his stage name August D in his solo career, has been praised for his honest works that touch on the realities of life. But according to Jin, that success did not come without scars. He mentioned that Suga often feels treated differently and sometimes less appreciated than he should be compared to the group's popularity. This fact creates a bitter picture of the entertainment industry, which often displays success, but hides the pain behind the scenes. Jin's frankness sparked a major discussion. Does this mean Suga is not getting full support from those around him? Or does the pressure come from overly high public expectations? Jin did not explain it explicitly, but he hinted that Suga's solo journey is full of emotional struggles. Many fans began to recall moments when Suga looked tired, or when he mentioned feelings of loneliness and the burden of expectations in several previous interviews. Now, Jin's words seem to confirm that all of that was not just a momentary feeling, but a reality that Suga has to bear in the long term. Army's reactions are varied. Some cry because they feel guilty for ever demanding more from Suga, while others are angry at the entertainment industry system that is considered to put too much pressure on artists. On social media, hashtags about Suga and Jin immediately topped trending topics. Fans wrote emotional support, asking the agency to pay more attention to the mental health and happiness of their artists, not just pursue commercial achievements. However, Jin's statement also opened up a broader space for reflection. He emphasized that the public should not only glorify the results of works, but also appreciate the process and emotional struggles behind them. Suga, with all his honesty in his lyrics, has long shown that music for him is a place to vent pain and heal himself. Jin, as a figure known to care about other members, seems to want to remind the world that there is a fragile human behind the superstar figure. For some observers, Jin's words can be read as a subtle critique of the dynamics of the South Korean entertainment industry. The pressure to always be perfect, maintain an image, and meet global expectations can be an invisible burden from the outside. When Jin mentioned a bitter truth in Suga's solo journey, he was actually uncovering the harsh reality experienced by almost all idols, but rarely spoken honestly in front of the public. On the other hand, this confession shows a very strong bond between Jin and Suga. As friends and fellow strugglers since their debut, Jin knows the ins and outs of Suga's journey very well. His statement is not just a story, but a warning. Behind the cheers of fans and the spotlight of cameras, there is a feeling of pressure that can erode an artist's spirit. And this must be a serious concern, not only for fans but also for the music industry as a whole. Now a big question arises. What are Suga's next steps after this confession is revealed? Will he be more open in his works, or will he withdraw from the public spotlight for a while? ARMY certainly hopes for the best, but they must also be prepared to face the reality that their idol is just an ordinary human who can be tired and hurt. Jin's statement about Suga is not just ordinary news. This is a reflective moment that shakes, forcing the public to see the other side of the glittering K-pop stage. The bitter truth revealed not only highlights one individual, but also illustrates the complex dynamics between popularity, industry, and the emotional health of artists. In the end, ARMY and the public are invited to ask themselves, have we really appreciated the struggles of the idols, or have we unconsciously added to their burden? This question, which now hangs in the air, is the essence of Jin's honesty that made millions of fans shed tears. The emotional reaction that arose after Jin revealed the bitter truth about Suga is indeed extraordinary. But the important question we must ask is all of this really verifiable fact, or just a narrative that has been exaggerated to stir public emotions? This is where we, as viewers and media consumers, must learn to position ourselves critically. Are we witnessing an honest truth, or just a drama created to grab attention? Social media such as TikTok, YouTube, and Twitter are the main arenas for spreading this kind of information. But are we sure that all the content circulating there is really based on accurate facts? How many of us only read clickbait titles and immediately believe them without trying to find clearer sources? Isn't this dangerous because it can change public perception of the artist in question without strong evidence? We must ask further. What is the motivation behind this kind of news? Is the goal to open the public's eyes to the dark side of the entertainment industry, or just a media strategy to increase views and interactions? If Jin really spoke about the bitter truth in Suga's solo career, why does this information appear in the form of narrative fragments on social media, not through an official verified statement? Is this a new way to control public opinion, or is it a form of honesty that is difficult for the industry to accept? It is undeniable that Suga himself in several previous interviews did touch on the issues of loneliness, mental pressure, and public expectations. However, does that automatically prove that the narrative currently circulating is true? Isn't it possible that there are parties who twist Suga's and Jin's words to create a drama that shakes fans' emotions? These questions are important to ask so that we don't get caught up in the euphoria of information without strong data. As fans or viewers, we need to realize how easily our emotions can be played with. When reading a title like Army Cries, Jin reveals bitter truth about Suga, do we immediately dissolve in sadness or try to verify the truth first? Are the tears of ARMY that fill the timeline really a pure reaction to Jin's statement, or are they part of a cycle of sensationalism that is constantly maintained by digital media? Another thing that should be questioned is, who benefits from the emergence of this narrative? If there really is a bitter truth revealed, does it help Suga, or does it add to his emotional burden? Or is the benefit more gained by the media that uses this issue to attract clicks, views, and interactions? We must reflect on this question, because in today's digital ecosystem, public attention is a very valuable commodity. Perhaps we need to remember that truth in the entertainment world is often relative. What seems real may just be a piece of a big story that is deliberately chosen to create a certain impression. Are we sure that Jin really intended to reveal something bitter, or maybe his words were misinterpreted, translated differently, or cut from their original context? Doesn't this kind of manipulation often happen, especially in an industry full of competition and interests? We also need to ask, how should ARMY behave? Should they continue to cry and dissolve in emotions, or should they rise with a more critical attitude, supporting their idol without having to get caught up in issues that are not necessarily true? Shouldn't true support be based on a clear understanding, not just an instant reaction to unverified information?